School Building Committee meeting. It is Thursday, March 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Just a reminder that this meeting is being video and audio recorded. And we will get started. Let's see here. Let me scroll down and find my agenda. 1 second. All right, so we don't have anybody signed up for public comment, I don't believe. We usually don't, so I wouldn't be surprised there. We don't have any new members this week either, so we're good to go there. So if anybody's had the chance to, hopefully everyone's had the chance to review our minutes from our last meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Lubold. Anybody on the second?
I can second.
Thank you, Isaka. All right, folks, all those in favor, if you can hold your hand up in the sky, whether it's your real hand or your raise your hand button, so we can get a count. I'm assuming that's everyone. All right, great. You can put your hands down. If there's any opposed, feel free to make your voices heard. All right, seeing none, we'll move right along then. We've got a report on the groundbreaking. That went really well. Thank you to everybody that could attend. We got some really great press coverage and had some students along. It was a great day. So I'll turn that over to Chris or Petros, who's ever going to give a quick report about that.
Well, unfortunately, Petros wasn't able to attend, although
I'll be at the topping off, though, that's for sure.
But Chris LeBlanc was there. So, Chris, do you want to sort of describe how it went?
Well, I've been to a number of them, and Hollyoaks was a very nice one as well. A lot of people that attended. The contractor was there in full force. Mount Vernon Group had a couple of people there, as did Answer. So it's always good to see the design team participating. I think there was a nice showing. The site certainly presented itself well. I hope everybody that did attend saw the progress that was made during the early site package and the results. I will say that talking with Tom Wolfenden, who's Fontaine's project manager, made a comment today, and I think Petros might have been in on that, but he did indicate that this is one of the best site preps he's ever encountered that gives Fontaine a jump on their work. So they're really looking forward to getting moving. And I believe they're excavating right now for footings, hoping to start footings Monday. So the groundbreaking went well. It was a great time. I think the city should be proud with the project that's moving forward for them.
Great. And then do we have a date moving forward, looking forward to the topping off, or a tentative timeline? I know we've talked tentatively in the past anyway, but do we have anything more concrete, I guess?
Oh, Aaron, I think I can take that one. I did just get a construction schedule from Fontaine this afternoon. I haven't had a full chance to dive in and review it, but based on conversations with them, and Chris, Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong, they're targeting, middle to end of August, I would say at this point. It's a moving target, but I would tentatively plan middle to end of August for a topping off.
Yeah. And
Great.
They're
so
moving along well, so, who knows? Hopefully we can expedite that, but definitely August.
yeah.
Great. Could probably facilitate it for like right before school starts, everyone's back and ready for action. All right, great. Does anybody have any other comments they want to add about the groundbreaking? Mayor Garcia, did you want to add anything?
It was a great day. I do have to step out at 6:40 though, but you're in good hands.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we'll be very long tonight. All right, so moving right along then, I'll turn it over to Margaret for some overall project budget updates and review of funding agreement supplemental grant executed. Margaret and team.
Yeah, so I'll tackle this. So at the end of the last meeting, is Kevin Jordan here tonight? I'm not sure he is. No.
Not going to make it, Margaret.
No,
He did
he's
send
on
a note.
vacation this week.
Oh, that's right. He was on vacation. So Kevin asked a question about the project budget. And it made me realize that although we had told this committee about the update in the total project budget, we actually hadn't given the whole group shared that document. It's been the updated funding agreement is fully executed, but we do have a couple of new members of the committee. So I thought it might be a good idea to just look back at this document, which those of you who were here for the schematic design vote will remember. It's what the MSBA calls the total project budget. And it's sort of the governing document from a financial perspective that defines how much money we anticipate the project costing, and then all the actual costs are sort of compared against this through what's called the MSBA's ProPay system. So Petros is working with Ksenia and Connor on sort of doing all that, but I'm going to steal the screen and I'm going to just sort of walk you through, just so again, kind of as a reminder of this overall document. And I will tell you, this document is sort of complicated, so I'm going to give a high-level explanation of it. Whoops, wrong doodad. Okay, here we go. So this document that you see here, I hope, which has the December 6th date up at the top. So that was prepared for the December board meeting where the MSBA increased the enrollment, increased the reimbursement. And so I'm just going to go through the categories because the kind of big news is down at the bottom. So the feasibility study agreement is here. So that's the first piece we did. Then there are fees for the owner's project manager. There is a section that is fees for the architects. There's a whole kind of boatload of odds and ends, survey costs, traffic studies, hazardous material investigations. That's this whole bucket. None of these numbers have changed from the original document. Then these numbers here are the construction costs as they were estimated before we went to bid. So those numbers are actually, we are in the process of updating this document within ProPay to reflect the real numbers that were the bid numbers. And as I think everybody knows, the project came, whoopsie, sorry about that. The project did come in several $1 million below the estimate. So let me get back to where I was. Sorry about that. So here, these are all the construction numbers. And then, really struggling here. Okay. So this is, now we're getting this on this page, which is the second page of the document. We're sort of getting down to what's changed. So the top of this page summarizes the construction budget. There are numbers in here for furniture, fixtures, technology, and then the total project budget at the time that this was originally approved, not including contingencies, was $82 million. This little piece here, which is loose, as you can see on the screen, this is the previous board authorization, and I've highlighted here what changed. So you can see the design enrollment, the building area have not changed. But what has changed is what's called scope items excluded. Now the MSBA, their scope excluded on this project is almost entirely based on the fact that they have a cap on what they'll reimburse on construction. They raised that cap. So in the previous funding agreement, they were excluding $25 million from funding. Now that number is down to 10 million. And kind of when you work your way through this document, what it means is that, well, the project budget has remained the same. The total facilities grant from the MSBA, the maximum grant went from about 47 million to let's call it 58.5 million. And so that is the nugget of this document. So this document has been a revision to the funding agreement was signed a month or so ago, maybe a month ago, by the mayor. So it's in place now, and it's this revised budget we're operating off of. So I wanted to let you know that, Pedros, I think you put this document in the packet, right?
Yep.
It's so detailed. I'm happy to take questions, but I'm not going to go through it on a line by line basis. I just wanted for you to see, if you wanted to take a look at the document and understand what was different, it's that piece at the bottom where you see the total, what the MSBA is paying for, going from 46.7 to 58.4. So any questions about that before we move on to the other items on the agenda? I am not seeing any hands. So again, if you look at it later and you have a question, just let us know. I see Mr. Tedesco has joined us.
Yes, good evening.
Welcome, Frank. All
Pedros,
right, great. So moving along then, updates on construction, administrative progress and schedule.
Absolutely. Chris, you want to tag team this one? Give a little overview on TA submittals and RFIs and whatnot, and then I can give a construction update, what Fontaine's going to be working on and what they've been working on the last few weeks.
Yeah, I sure will. So, share my screen briefly, just a couple of talking points, bring up everybody up to speed. So, as you know, for those of you especially who are at the groundbreaking, the early site package has been completed. As I mentioned, Fontaine indicated this is one of the best sites that they've been left with to get started. Nice and clean, and they're moving along. They're going like gangbusters. We are finishing the close out that package on the financial end with the final change order, and our civil engineers doing their final review and punch list. We just received the final survey from the contractor. My initial look indicates that it matches what we had designed to leave Fontaine and their group at this point. So that's a good sign. We held our construction kickoff meeting with Fontaine and Answer, discussed the administrative workflow, if you will, the exchange of documents, anything that the design team or the OPM's team needed, and Fontaine expressed their needs as well. Everybody's on the same page, which was really good to see. We are continuing to hold construction kickoff meetings, and those will continue throughout the project as we get into the different portions. As an example, this morning we had a kickoff meeting with the site contractor to discuss excavation of footings, the inspection process. Our geotech engineer will be on site to observe those excavations as well, prepare reports, etc. So that's going to be ongoing when we do concrete, steel, finishes, etc. Just so that prior to the work starting, everybody's on the same page. There's no surprises. We want to make sure that if there's any concerns, and Fontaine's very good about this, when we have these meetings, they're going to want to know as we get started, what are some of the things we would like them to be aware of. It makes their job easier, make sure that they do it well, and they can get their subs, working on the right path. So that's good. Ongoing project meeting with city departments. So we continue to talk with Sean and his people. I had a meeting with the building inspector and the planning board assistant director recently on some of the items they requested for their plan review and the issuance of the building permit. So everything's in place. We just got 2 minor issues we're working through to get that done by tomorrow, and hopefully get a permit issued tomorrow so Fontaine can continue on Monday. That's an ongoing process. The department was very, very good. I'll enjoy working with Kevin and his team. Our engineer reached out to him as well, so they understand how we'll get them their reports, etc. And then when they need to come out and do their inspections. Moving on to the project submittal reviews and responses, as well as RFI reviews. Fontaine has started, along with their subs, to submit submittals of all the materials that are going to be used in the project. Our team, engineers, et cetera, are looking at those, answering any questions that Fontaine or their subs have. Uh, keep in mind that they've only had a short period of time to get very familiar with it and get up to speed. Right now, we're concentrating on everything to get out of the ground. So excavation, uh, fill materials, concrete, reinforcing, structural steel. However, I will note that they have submitted wall tile. So as Fontaine likes to do, as most contractors, they're trying to buy out the project early, get the materials that they need, so that it minimizes the workflow of waiting for materials. Right? We've already talked to the electrical subcontractor, and they have already ordered all their switch gear, et cetera. So long lead items will be available and ready when they're ready to install it. So that's kind of the big picture on the construction end. One of the things that we've talked about at a past meeting was the FF&E and technology startup. So I did talk with our technology consultant as well as our FF&E consultant for fixed furniture, fixtures, and equipment. We don't need to start discussing that with the building, the building committee and then subsequently staff until the fall. Knowing that teachers and people are out on vacations during the summer, we do have some time. So rather than interrupt the process, we're going to start this in September when everybody gets back and things are kind of flowing back with staff, the building committee, et cetera. While we will meet with them through the summer, we'll get everybody going back in the fall. We'll have plenty of time to put together all the specs for that equipment, get it specified, and then issue the POs. We'll work with Jamie and her group to issue the appropriate POs when the time comes to get this ready so that we'll get it delivered and then start installing it July 1 when the contractor reaches substantial completion. Any questions? All right. So what I will do is I will relinquish control. And Petros, you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. So just to give a few brief bullet point updates, unfortunately, Tom Wolfenden and Fontaine weren't able to make it to provide this update themselves tonight, but he did email me earlier and wanted to just shout out a few of these items. So the field office setup on site will be complete as of tomorrow, all the trailers. Temporary power to the trailers is still pending. Holyoke Gas and Electric, they were on site yesterday to scope out their work. So that work is on hold with them. So hopefully, once they're able to schedule that work and complete it, we'll be holding on-site meetings weekly in the trailers. So that's a moving target right now. But site fencing and the main entry gate have been completed and relocated. I know that was a question, Aaron, that you had asked earlier this week. Believe that work is complete as of today. And as Chris noted earlier, we did have a meeting with the geotech and the testing agency today. Site contractor Gagliarducci Ducci has begun excavations for the high retaining wall footings along column line E, and the concrete contractor has mobilized and delivered materials to site, and they're expected to start form work as early as Monday. Other than that, Chris said steel shop drawings, those are a hot item, obviously with long lead times, but those submittal reviews are underway, and we're targeting June 3rd steel work to begin. And nearly all subcontractors, subcontracts, excuse me, have been written, and just pending a few items to close those items out on their side. But that's kind of what's going on out there the next week or so.
All right, great. Thank you guys for the update. Moving right along then. So is the next item suggesting that we need to have a design subcommittee meeting starting in April?
Put that in there, Aaron, because I know that we said, we might want to have a coordination meeting as a group sometime in April just to get on the same page. But that was more a placeholder just for discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that they, start meeting with the interior designer to, again, just for the fluidity of making sure stuff isn't delayed and things like that. So whenever you guys feel like they need, we need to have the subcommittee meet, have the interior designer come, meet with the design subcommittee and start doing whatever work needs to be done, just let us know and we can certainly get that into the schedule.
Yeah, Aaron, what we'll do is I'll reach out to Susan tomorrow. I already gave her a heads up, but given the fact that the contractor's starting to submit things like wall tile and floor tile, right? So we want to make sure we've got the colors, the appropriate colors that the building committee wants as part of
Okay.
that. So we'll schedule
So can
something.
you just include Mark Lubold in that communication because he's the chair of design, so that way they can coordinate a time and then they can set up a meeting from there.
Absolutely.
And we'll have to have a public meeting, so, we'll have to post it and everything. So we'll need at least a few days for that.
Yeah, 48 hours minimum. And if it needs translation, it really should be at least a week, more like a week notice if it needs translation. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, so typically in those processes, we would have our interior designer meet with the building subcommittee, right? Go through and maybe the individuals, I should say the district individuals that were part of it last time that went through the color schemes that were selected. Typically we go through that with the subcommittee, get the everything kind of ironed out, and then once those decisions are made, present it to the community as a public presentation.
No, his point is just that the subcommittee meeting itself is technically a public meeting, so it has to get
Okay.
posted. Yeah,
Okay.
so just being conscious of timeline to post meetings, that's all.
Yeah, and I feel that meeting too should probably be in person. If you
It'd
want
be
to,
great to have it in person, yeah.
yeah, I just feel
Could
looking at
maybe
the
use the
colors or,
conference room at central office.
It's usually not, these types of meetings are usually not posted as public meetings. It's really for a subcommittee of this committee to present back here. You can't open up all these decisions to just the public. It's not
No,
that
they
Well, it's
wouldn't
not
be
that it's-
open to the public to comment, Frank, but just like this meeting is open to the public, right? Like they can't chime in and comment, but they can, it's videoed, it's available to the public. So that's just what we meant by the structure of the meeting.
okay. It's unusual, I could say, but it's fine. It's okay to do. I think they'll be fine.
Okay, sounds good. So, Chris, you'll coordinate with Mark and the woman that you mentioned, and we'll go
Yep.
from there.
Perfect.
I agree. So, moving right along, we upcoming meeting is Thursday, April 18th. According to our schedule, now that is April vacation. Does that cause any conflicts with anybody? It does not with me. I'm not seeing anybody, so we'll stick with that then. If not, if anybody is going to be away and miss the meeting and you're a voting member, just please let us know, because if we anticipate not having quorum, we would plan ahead for that. Other than that, there's a couple, the next meeting dates are listed there. Does anybody else have anything else that they need to discuss or go over while we're still here? Wow, this is a record breaker. Mr. Yost, you have the floor. If you're speaking, you're on mute, hun.
Yeah, I think here we go. Yeah, I apologize. My computer went down exactly when Margaret was speaking about that form, and I do have a question about that.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm seeing at the end of the column I have one amount for project budget, and then way down at the bottom of the second box I have a higher amount. What's the difference in that? Is that just a contingency, or is that something else? If you're still there, Margaret.
Yeah, sorry. Let me open it back up and share it so I am sure that we're looking at the same thing. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so sort of at the project budget, the end of the whole column, say you got 82 million,
Yeah.
82 million something, and then that second box down the bottom, we've got 85 million. What's
Right.
the,
So the difference is that I have to say, I wish graphically they would redesign this form because it's super confusing. So it's a great question, Dave. The difference is the contingencies. So really what this whole section is doing is it's folding in contingencies. And so what's being added in here is, let's see here. This is where they're doing the calculation on the reimbursement rate. This is where money is being added. So there's a construction contingency line item here, and the MSBA, they have caps on these as well. So they note that they're only paying for part of that. There is, and then so they say like we'll pay this much of that. Then the owner's contingency, which is generally considered a soft cost contingency, so not for construction, but for other non-construction items. This is what we recommended. This is what they're considering ineligible, and so they add those two together, and then they add that to the total, and so that is what gets you from. Whoops, sorry. That's what gets you from the 82 project budget to the 85 is the contingencies in this section. Does that make sense?
yeah, so that, and there could be a slightly larger by well, a little less than $1 million increase in the grant if the contingencies
That's right. Yes.
grow.
And they won't, the reason they do it separately is they basically tell you up front, we're not agreeing to fund anything, but if we consider your changes, which get applied against contingencies, to be within the bound, they have a whole rule book on what can be in or out. If we agree with those, then we will fund, our share of those. But they won't promise it. It's all held out as contingent.
Yeah. All right. That explains it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And just a comment. Maybe the signature at the bottom needs a little updating too. I couldn't help noticing that.
Signature at the bottom.
The signature, we've got an AM, which should be, I think, now a JG. So.
Yeah, that's
probably from way back. Yeah.
No, this is Josh's signature.
Looks like AM, not JG, but
yeah, this was, you can see the dates. This was just signed, last month. So
the
Josh,
date is good. Yeah.
he's taking you to task for your signature.
Yeah. We'll have to work on that, right?
I was gonna say Jamie and I can contest. We know that that's Josh's signature.
All right.
I looked at those signatures too, I'm not gonna lie, and I was like, oh, really?
No, Jamie, my partner will concur, right, Jamie? Those are his signatures. We see that all day, every day. So yeah.
All right, we clarified that.
It does look a little bit like AM. I gotta give you credit. Okay.
All right, folks. Well, if no one has anything else, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Lubold. Can I have a second?
I second it.
All right. All those in favor, raise your little paws.
Aye.
Thank you all.
We'll keep you longer next time. How's that?
Yeah. If
We'll do
there's
better
any
next time.
opposed, feel free to voice your opposition. All right, folks. Meeting is officially adjourned at 6:29. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Buddy.
You're nice. Bye-bye.